Hi, this is Chuck Williams, and you're watching The Artist's Corner. Thunderclouds off to the west are blacker than the night. There's a diner at the next hilltop off the shoulder to the right. I'm rolling down that hard road, chasing that thin white line. Destiny has marked my way, it's printed on a sign. Coast to coast, this country's big. There's miles to unwind. When I climb into this rig, the hard road's all I'll find. Back and forth a million miles across the Great Divide, and I think I'll stop and rest a while. Fatigue is hard to hide. Rolling down that hard road with my diesel engine wound. This heavy hauling trucker is Oklahoma bound. Coast to coast, this country's big. There's miles to unwind. When I climb into this rig, the hard road's all I'll find. When that road will set me free, when I've run that last mile, the hard road will let me be, and I'll leave her with a smile. The thunderclouds off to the west are blacker than the night. There's a diner at the next hilltop off the shoulder to the right. Rolling down that hard road, chasing that thin white line. Destiny has marked my way, it's printed on a sign. Coast to coast, this country's big. There's miles to unwind. When I climb into this rig, the hard road's all I'll find. There we go. That song was called Hard Road. Pretty obvious with that the lyric. And that was just something that came to me. I think it had a lot to do with some of the drive and everything that we do as songwriters and musicians and trying to get the music out there. So this next one is called Country Queen. And this is a co-write with Ralph DeFlorio and Brooks Williams. We wrote this up on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee, and it's about a country star that just quite wasn't happy with where she was at. Down in Missouri, she lives all alone. She puts on her jeans and the Rolling Stones, puts a little rosin on her bow. Now she's ready to play her next show. It's a matinee down on the strip. Stage lights are on, she'll play all her hits. Tells the same jokes, smiles on cue. It's just what she's paid to do. Yesterday she turned 28, made her a big old fiddle cake, same as last year. Sarah Park. She's a country queen with a rock and roll heart. Tuesdays, thinking one beer. Lou says, KT, what's with the tears? And she says, what builds fans up is what tears me down. Babe, it's time we paint this town. Yesterday she turned 28, made her a big old fiddle cake, same as last year, tears her apart. She's a country queen with a rock and roll heart. But she orders 2 jacks, then another one. Says, I hope tomorrow won't ever come. The lonesome doves rock the beat. She leaves her blues in the backseat. Yesterday she turned 28, made her a big old fiddle cake, same as last year, tears her apart. She's a country queen with a rock and roll heart. Down in Missouri, still falling apart. She's a country queen with a rock and roll heart. This next song is called Backyard Oak Tree. And there's a little backstory to it. This tree sits behind a house that's going to be 200 years old in 2024. It's where I live in Mattapoisett. And that tree has been around and that long. What's interesting is that the house that sits in front of that tree, which I live in, is spooked. It has ghosts. And there was one occasion in particular that I came into the house on a late summer afternoon, and I walked in and there was a tall figure standing in the hall. He had black hair, a little black beard, black jacket, black pants, and he was carrying a stovepipe hat, and the guy looked just like Abe Lincoln. And I couldn't believe it. So I wanted to do some research, did some research on it, and Abe Lincoln, in fact, came to Massachusetts in 1848 and did a stump speech down in New Bedford at I believe it was a Quaker Meeting Hall is where he did it, and it was on William Street of all things. But anyway, he did a stump speech, or he did the speeches there, and he happened to be, somehow, that spirit seems to have been in my house. Now, the song doesn't have anything to do with Abe Lincoln. It has to do with the oak tree, but Abe Lincoln does make an appearance in the song. Grew up on a farm at the crest of a hill, behind a house that's standing still. Stretched out to the east and to the west, reached to the sun so I'd look my best. Honest Abe passed through in late 48, rode a train and spoke across the state. If it were sunny, he'd need my shade. If I were a stump, a speech would be made. I've seen forests and farms rambling at times, seen fields and farmers fighting for dimes, seen people come and people go. I've seen the droughts and 6 feet of snow. 100 years later, a storm came undone, took lives and houses on waves that run. Lost many of friends down on the ground, wicked winds blew a terrible sound. Saw children play in big piles of leaves, became parents, had family, and rolled up their sleeves. Kept their hands on the plow day and night, poor working families just doing what's right. I've seen forests and farms rambling at times, seen fields and farmers fighting for dimes, seen hurricanes come and hurricanes go. I've seen the droughts and 6 feet of snow. Here I am, standing tall, head and shoulders above all, wearing green in the summer, golden brown in the fall. I'm standing here slowly falling apart, I'm in the same place that I did start. I dropped my acorns before I drop all my leaves, I'm a centuries old backyard oak tree. I've seen forests and farms rambling at times, seen fields and farmers fighting for dimes, seen seasons come and seasons go. I've seen the droughts and 6 feet of snow. I've seen the droughts and 6 feet of snow. This next song is called Take Us to the Other Side. And it's about climate change. There's so many things happening around the world. Oceans are rising, forests are flaming. And Michael, Troy, and I decided we were going to have a song about climate change, and this is how it turned out. Where are the blue skies we used to know? Lost in the yellow haze when the wind don't blow. Crystal clear waterways used to flow on with the Indian and buffalo. In purple mountains the air is clear. Down in the valley, fields of fear. Like atoms and apples, change day and night. Forsaken garden, something ain't right. Get on your high horse and ride, ride, ride. Take us to the other side. Tundra's melting, glaciers flow. When the water rises, where will you go? Polar bear starving, a fall from grace. Mother Earth has changed her face. Get on your high horse and ride, ride, ride. Take us to the other side. See what we have seen. Can we keep this planet safe and green? Will we drift away in rising waters? What will there be for our sons and daughters? Once we were wailing for oil and bone, now we find them grounded in seacoast foam. In another country, there's another drought. The ground is drying up and burning out. Get on your high horse and ride, ride, ride. Take us to the other side. There. Take It to the Other Side, co-written with Michael Troy. This next song is called Steam Train Mori. Now, Steam Train Mori was the king of the hobos. Yeah, the hobos have kings. And he was from Toledo, Ohio, which is my hometown. So back in '09, my father gave me an article about Steam Train Mori, and he said, you ought to write a song about this guy. So as it turns out, I recorded the song, and I sent it out to some folks in Iowa, the National Hobo Convention. Yeah, they actually have a convention every year, and they've been doing it for nearly 100 years. And it was a real adventure for me, for sure. Unfortunately, I never did meet Steam Train Mori, but I met a whole bunch of hobos out there in Britt, Iowa back in 2010, and then I went back just 2 years ago and rejoined them again. We had a great time. So this song is my song about Steam Train Mori. Steam Train Mori was his name, a drifter through and through. Walked along the freight yards wearing holes in his shoes. Slept under a willow near the station, crossed the field. Had no aspirations, played his cards as they were dealt. Times were different back then, easier it seemed. Had nothing but a pole sack and his traveling dreams. Wandered near the tracks, using what he could. Never harmed anyone, was always doing good. Every year we'd watch for him as winter turned to spring. When he'd come back, seemed the birds would all sing. Ambled through the neighborhood for odd jobs as he were. Where he ever came from, well, no one was sure. Done it all early in life, told his tale as it was. No reading in between the lines, laid it all down with trust. True stories were all he had, no mysteries were there. As we were told, he didn't have a care. Toledo to Tacoma in search of the golden spike. Never met a soul that he didn't like. From Boston to Bayonne, riding the steel rail. All across the country, spinning stories, telling tales. In the year 69, his steam trains made their call. Spring turned to summer, then the leaves turned to fall. Never saw Mori again, lived his life on that track. And all we ever found of him was his empty bindle sack. Now all of the vagabonds sit around that cooking fire. stories about Mori that surely would inspire. And off in the distance, a westbound whistle blows. It was calling Mori, king of the hobos. Steam Train Mori, Maurice Graham, Toledo, Ohio. Yeah, I lived 18 years in Toledo, Ohio, born and raised there. Went in the Army and I never returned, except to visit family. Well, I've got another song here. And this is called Lightning in a Bottle. And it was inspired by a poem by Terry Finch. He's from upstate New York. And we wound up talking back and forth and making a few edits for the guitar and the melody that I wanted to come up with. And this is how it goes. Lightning in a Bottle. Capture lightning in a bottle. It's like chasing a shooting star. Keep a firm grip on the throttle and wander ever so far. Ride a bullet through the fire and see what can't be seen. Be a twister spinning higher than chase an evil queen. To surf a molten lava stream in the glow of a darkened night. To hear a dreaded banshee scream. Feel the sting of a vampire's bite. Take a rocket ride to Mars. Live there for a year. Believe in life beyond the stars. And never show your fear. Lightning in a bottle is one thing I've never seen. Can't be caught by anyone. Is it just a dream? To know there is but so much time to finish what we start. To know we share this life sublime from birth until we part. So dance along without a care. Sing all as you are. To capture lightning in a bottle is like chasing a shooting star. Lightning in a bottle is one thing I've never seen. Can't be caught by anyone. Is it just a dream? Is it just a dream? Is it just a dream? Thank you, Terry Finch. So this is Chuck Williams, and My music can be found at my website at chuckwilliamsmusic.com, and we thank you for watching The Artist Corner. Stretched out to the east and to the west, reach to the sun so I'd look my best. Honest Abe passed through in late '48, rode a train.